I'm getting it for 300, I'm selling it for 500, I'm going to make 200 grand on this deal, right? That's not the case.
That's right. Yeah, very oversimplified.
Hey everybody, Andrew Howie here with Pine Financial Group, where we work together so you succeed. Please do us a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share it with your friends. We continue to try to build this channel for real estate investors just like you. I'm here with my good friend Scott Kraft today from the office. And Scott, I might be 10 years older than you, but you've got about 20 years extra experience in real estate than I do. So Scott is somebody that I bounce a ton of questions off of. And when we first started working together, one of the first things I asked you is, hey man, how do you analyze a deal? And you said simply the numbers. And that's easy, but what exactly are the numbers?
Yeah, so, what we get all the time is someone calls us up and they say, hey, I can buy this great deal. I have to pay X number of dollars for it. The rehab's gonna be X number of dollars, and then I can sell it for this other number. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, well that's great, but I have to have a way to actually understand exactly what that means. What kind of profit does that actually work out to? And so I taught Howie a very simple, really quick little freehand method of determining your profit. Okay, so let's just look at an example here. So ARV, right? That stands for your after repair value. So what is the property going to be worth when it's done? So for this example, let's say it will be worth $500,000. Okay, but then of course we have to pay something for it. So the ACQ, that stands for acquisition. So what's your acquisition price? Let's say a wholesaler calls you up and says that they've got this property that you can buy for $300,000. So you have to subtract out the $300,000 purchase price.
And a lot of times too, we'll talk to individuals and these are the only two numbers that they're really looking at. They're like, hey, I'm getting it for 300, I'm selling it for 500, I'm going to make 200 grand on this deal, right? That's not the case.
That's right. Yeah, very oversimplified because there are other costs that we have to take into consideration. The first one is being your closing costs on the way in. Mm-hmm. So that type of thing, that includes stuff like closing fees, that includes an origination fee if you're going to be using a hard money loan, recording fees, other government fees, other title fees, just all kinds of stuff. So on a product like this, where we're talking about a $300,000 purchase, I'm going to estimate about $10,000 in closing costs to buy the property. So we're going to take out $10,000 as well, and then holding costs. So Howie, what does holding costs include?
So how long are you going to be holding this loan that you're in? And what is that going to cost you on holding costs? Basically?
Yeah, that's right. So that's stuff like interest, insurance, taxes, stuff that costs you every single day that you actually own the property. So the longer you own it, the higher your holding costs. Yeah. For this one, I think I can be in and out of this deal in 6 months. So I'm going to calculate out what is 6 months of interest payments going to be, what is 6 months worth of insurance and taxes going to be. In this case, it's going to be about $25,000. Okay, and then fix up, right? I have to actually fix up the project or the property. So this is also known as your rehab budget, your scope of work. This property, I've determined that it's gonna cost me $60,000 to take it from $300,000 in value up to $500,000. So we have to throw in our $60,000 rehab budget.
So Scott, when you're doing that rehab budget, do you usually add a contingency in there?
Always.
Just as a safety net?
At least 10%.
Yeah.
Okay, and then what's another cost I'm gonna have? Well, when I go to sell the property, I'm gonna have closing costs on the way out as well. Mm-hmm. These are gonna be a little bigger, right? Because what's the big one that was not included on the way in typically?
Realtor fees.
That's right, so I'm gonna be paying realtor fees. Realtor fees are obviously negotiable, but I want to budget kind of a worst case scenario. So I'm going to say roughly 6% and then another 1% for other standard closing costs. So we're going to take out 7% of that 500,000 ARV. So that's another 35,000. So I take my after repair value, what I can sell the property for, I subtract what I have to pay for the property, what it's going to cost me to buy the property, that's the closing costs in, what it's going to cost me to hold the property, again, stuff like insurance, taxes, and interest, what it's going to cost to rehab the property, and then what it's going to cost to sell the property. When I take all of those numbers into consideration, I subtract all that from $500,000, that leaves me with $70,000 as a profit.
Not a bad payday.
And so I know that these are really rough numbers. They're estimates in here. We're working with nice round numbers. This is not meant to be absolutely down to the penny. This is just a very quick assessment to analyze a deal to see if it's something that I even want to try to pursue.
Yeah, exactly. And everyone watching at home there, if you do have a deal that you're looking at, or you're just curious, to put your deal into these numbers, we're happy to walk through it with you. Reach out to us. pinefinancialgroup.com is probably the easiest spot. Or if you prefer the phone, 303-835-4445. Scott and I will be there.